Hi, you're watching the Marvel Movie Critic, and today I'm reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Hi, this is the Marvel Movie Critic, the only critic with a bachelor's degree in film and a doctorate in Marvel Comics. Let's jump right into the review with the top 3 best things about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Number 3. The number 3 best thing about this movie is Harry Osborn, the Green Goblin. In this movie, Harry is cold, he hates his father, he hates working for the Osborn company, he's a real asshole to the chief executive officers and the board meeting they have, which is really fun to watch. Next, you've got the scenes where Harry really warms up to Peter. They go out walking in New York, they slow this movie down, and they just let these characters talk and breathe real life into these characters. And the actor playing Harry, Dane DeHaan, is what makes Harry really fun to watch. Dane DeHaan is an incredible actor to behold on screen. He's a very emotive actor, at times you can empathize with him, and his energy will light up any scene he's in. You can see an anger in his eyes from the beginning when he first sees his father. His scenes with Spider-Man from beginning to end are exciting to watch, and he really holds his own with the other award-winning actors. In the scene where he first meets Gwen Stacy, you know that won't end well for Peter. That's going to come back to haunt him. And he surprisingly ends up being the best villain in this movie, possibly in all the movies, and he really steals the show on this one. You can also see his acclaimed work in the movie Chronicle. Number 2. The number 2 best thing in this movie is the relationship between Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker. Their first scenes together are where Gwen is having dinner with her family, but Peter tells her outside he can't join her because he wouldn't be keeping his promise to her father. Then the next time they meet, they agree to just stay friends. And their relationship at this point is where they have put themselves into the friend zone. But they both really want to be more, and that really rings true to life. This really helps build the tension in their relationship and makes it feel real. And these actors' chemistry really works on screen. And when they're talking, it really works. There's great dialogue written all over this movie. And the filmmakers just let the talking happen, and it's so well directed. And of course, we have to talk about the ending, the Gwen Stacy death scene. They got the wardrobe for Gwen Stacy so right, they got Spider-Man and the Green Goblin fighting above her, and as comics fans, we all saw this coming. But when it began, you started feeling it, and you really were scared for her and didn't want her to die. Every slip she took, you were thinking, can we change this? Can we not have her die after all, like in the books? And if you were feeling that at this moment, that means the filmmakers got it right. They got it so right, and this scene was masterfully done. And then, she falls. And the spiderweb goes after her, but it grabs her on the stomach and she's falling too fast. And it yanks her body back up, snaps her neck. Her head may have hit the floor, it was too quick to tell. But then Spider-Man gets down there. He's in denial, talking to her, and then he just loses it. And again, Andrew Garfield can act his ass off. And he really does it in this scene. You really feel for him. Now, as a comics reader, I started reading Amazing Spider-Man after the first movie in 2002. And I read through all 700 of them. And I read through the death of Gwen Stacy's storyline. And since then, it's been a long time coming to this moment. Within the movieverse, it feels like this movie was 12 years in the making. And I'm so grateful that the filmmakers pulled this off. They were able to tell this story right, and they even did it better than the comics did it. And we're not even to number 1 yet. Number 1. And the number 1 best thing about this movie is the Peter Parker storyline. You can tell that the writers, producers, director actively made a plan to tell the story of Peter Parker. And it shows, and it is excellent. The Peter Parker storyline and scenes with Peter are actually the most interesting and compelling scenes throughout the movie. You have to view this movie differently than other superhero movies. In other superhero films, you get a lot of action and a lot of plot. You get this group doing that political move and defending the city, and that can work really well in those films. But here, we get that the most interesting scenes are not the battle scenes, but following Peter's story. It starts with Peter seeing Captain Stacy's face everywhere he goes. In his mind, Captain Stacy is looking at him in disapproval. Then you've got Peter chasing after the legacy of his father, and it pulls your heartstrings. You've got the relationship with Aunt May, Gwen Stacy, Harry Osborn, even Electro, and it all works so well. Whether it's because the filmmakers planned it this way, or it's that Andrew Garfield is so interesting to watch on screen, it works. You feel that Peter wants to make his life work. He wants to protect Gwen. He wants to make New York City a better place and be responsible. But sometimes it builds up and it's even too much for him to handle. You feel good for him when he's having fun, and sad for him when he runs into tragedy. The fact that they went out and made a movie like this, where character is the most important thing, says a lot about why this movie works so well and why Spider-Man works so well. A great Spider-Man story, at its core, is a Peter Parker story. Always has been since his first comic appearance in Amazing Fantasy 15. And one way that they shocked me in this film is that they ended it on a happy note for Peter. After all the tragedy he had been through and the funeral, we have a scene where Aunt May teaches Peter that life goes on, and Spider-Man is back out there, pushing forward, fighting the Rhino, laughing and making jokes. And it's such a great, fun-filled, uplifting ending with some action thrown in. If this had been one of the terribly written DC movies, it would have ended on a down note, with Spider-Man either ripping someone's head off or killing someone then quitting for 7 years. And now for the top 3 worst things in this movie. There are none. Nothing bad. Knowing there are sequels on the way is a great thing for comics fans. There are so many more Peter Parker stories to tell that I want to see as many sequels as possible. I'm looking forward to seeing the Rhino come out more and many others. One thing I will say I thought they could have changed. When you see that little boy dressed as Spider-Man, I thought that would have been cool to have seen him as Miles Morales, a little half Puerto Rican, half black kid who later becomes Spider-Man himself. It would be a loose plot thread that you never actually have to tie up. But if they decide to reboot it 10 or 15 years later, they have options. But before then, I want to see a lot of Peter Parker stories. My top 2 picks would be the Ezekiel Moreland storyline and the Superior Spider-Man storyline. There's a lot of potential in those stories, so if you're listening, Sony, make it happen. And now for the rating. This movie gets a 5 out of 5. It's an outstanding adaptation of the Gwen Stacy storyline, and they knocked it out of the park. And now it's time for your recommended comic reading. I would recommend reading the Death of Gwen Stacy storyline found in Amazing Spider-Man issues 121 through 122. You see how it plays out in the books, and you even see the death of the Green Goblin, which you may remember from the first Spider-Man film in 2002. Now, if you want the full build-up of Gwen Stacy as a character, you're going to have to go back to issue number 1 and start from there. Stan Lee does a lot to build up Peter's character over time, as well as Gwen. You get the Captain Stacy storyline he did, and it makes her death all the more important. If you want something more to do with the Sinister Six, I would recommend Marvel Knights Spider-Man issues 1 through 12. It's a self-contained storyline that has a lot of Electro, Venom, and the Green Goblin, along with Vulture, Dr. Octopus, and others. It's one of the best Spider-Man stories you can read. I would also recommend the Ultimate Spider-Man story, Ultimate 6. It's an awesome story where the Green Goblin goes nuts, and the battles and destruction are huge. It's a great read. The Ultimate Spider-Man series as a whole is a perfect Spider-Man series. The cheapest and best way to read these is through Marvel Unlimited on marvel.com using your tablet or computer. The entire run is on there. If you want the books in paper, you can find reprints in any bookstore. Now check out the Spider-Man shirt, the Spider-Man shoes, the Spider-Man underwear, the Stan Lee Excelsior wristband. Marvel question of the day. What are your top 3 favorite things about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and make sure to rank them in order. Remember to follow me on Facebook, where I will be constantly posting Marvel news and sharing my thoughts on the comics and other things. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends wherever you can. Put it on message boards, Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere else. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can keep making Marvel videos for you. I plan to review all of the great Marvel movies. That's all for now, and I will see you next time, true believers. Excelsior!